You made it through basic training. Genuinely. You survived the sleep deprivation, the screaming, the mystery meet, and a confidence course that was designed by someone who has never once in their life felt confident. You finished. You were standing, and somewhere in the back of your head, a small and very stupid voice said, "Okay, the hard part is over." Your body heard that, your body wrote it down, and your body has been waiting for the right moment to laugh about it. That moment is AIT. What does AIT actually change for anyone going through it? And what does it change specifically when your body is already running a more expensive program than the person next to you? Because those are two very different questions. And the answer to the second one is the reason this page exists. Basic training is a shock test. AIT, a rhythm test. Those are not the same exam, and they are not graded on the same curve. Basic is loud, concentrated, and short enough that adrenaline does most of the heavy lifting. The Army is essentially running a stress test to see if you fall apart when someone is actively trying to make you fall apart. For a lot of people, altered mechanics included, that environment is actually survivable. Not because the body is fine, but because adrenaline is an excellent liar and the window is short enough that the lie holds. AIT takes that window away. The chaos settles, the adrenaline clocks out, and what moves in to replace it is duration. Boots, walking, standing, PT, concrete, formation, class, time, more concrete, and a daily military rhythm that repeats long enough for the body to stop performing and start telling the truth. For a standard body, the truth is, this is a grind, uncomfortable, cumulative, the kind of tired that lives behind your eyes by week 3 and does not fully leave until you are out of the pipeline. For a body carrying clubfoot, fused ankle, surgical hardware, or a compensation pattern that has been quietly running since before you could legally drive, the truth is a longer conversation, and it starts at 0-500 with stiffness that did not used to be there. Here is what AIT looks like for most people. Week 1, the body is still riding the basic training exit energy. Week 2, accumulation starts. The legs feel like they were filled with wet concrete overnight, which is ironic because you have also been standing on concrete all day. By week 3, recovery is not happening between days anymore. The body is borrowing from tomorrow to finish today, and tomorrow is already overdrawn. That is the standard AIT experience. That is what everyone is working through. Now, run that same timeline for someone whose ankle was surgically corrected for clubfoot, or who has a fused joint, or whose gait has been compensated so long that their natural stride is essentially a myth their physical therapist stopped chasing years ago. Week 1 looks the same. That's the cruel part. Week 1 almost always looks the same because the body is good at performing over short windows and adrenaline has not fully left the building yet. Week 2 is where the interesting math starts because the hip flexor on the opposite side, the one that's been quietly covering for a limited push-off for years, has now been doing that job every single day without a real break, and it is starting to file paperwork about it. The knee that has been doing lateral stability work it never volunteered for is beginning to make its presence known in ways that are difficult to ignore and impossible to explain quickly to anyone who does not already understand the whole mechanical story. And the boot deserves its own paragraph. For most people, a boot that does not fit perfectly is kind of an annoyance. For a foot with altered bone structure, scarring from prior surgery, asymmetrical volume, or the specific kind of shape that comes from years of casting and correction, a boot that does not fit perfectly is a full-time problem that gets worse every day you are in it. Hotspots become open questions about your long-term skin integrity. Pressure points that were ignorable in week 1 become the first thing your brain registers when the alarm goes off in week 3. The boot is not getting worse. The duration is just finally long enough to show you what the boot was always doing. And this is a valid thing. You will blister. Your boots will be uncomfortable. Here's the part that genuinely surprises people. It is not always the PT days, the dramatic days, ruck days, the days where something hard is obviously happening. Those days you can prepare for mentally. You can grit through something that looks difficult. The days that quietly wreck an altered mechanics body are the boring ones. The 8-hour class day, administrative day, the standing in formation for reasons that are unclear to everyone day. 9 hours on a concrete floor in a standard boot, running your full compensation program in the background with nowhere to sit, no recovery built in, and nothing on the schedule that would make anyone think today was hard. For the person next to you, that's just a Tuesday. For the body with a fused ankle, surgically corrected clubfoot, or structural asymmetry that has been doing quiet overtime since childhood, Boring Tuesday has a completely different invoice attached. And Boring Tuesday does not show up on anybody's PT tracking sheet. That is the shift. Basic asked whether you could survive a defined hit. AIT asks whether your mechanics can hold up once the hit becomes the daily background condition of your life. And nobody is checking whether your particular operating system was designed for that load or just very good at pretending it was. If this is landing with uncomfortable accuracy, if you're in AIT right now or preparing for it, or sitting on the other side wondering what actually happened to you during that pipeline, here's the thing military content almost never says. You have been running a more expensive program than people around you for a long time, possibly your entire life. And because you have been doing it long enough to make it look normal, most people, including people responsible for your training, have no framework for what it actually costs you to produce the same output they do. That is not their failure to care. That is just how invisible, competent compensation looks from the outside. You got so good at managing it that no one could see it was management at all. AIT did not break something that was working fine. It ran something long enough to show you where the real margins are. That is worth knowing. And you deserved a page that named it honestly instead of skipping from basic training to your MOS like the middle part explains itself. Video 2 in the series gets into specific places the cost shows up and why some of the worst ones never make it into any official list of hard days. Follow the page. This series runs in order, and if someone you know is heading into AIT carrying altered mechanics and no real map for what's coming, send them this before they find out on a Tuesday. And if you guys want to read the entire article, shoot on over to clubfootforward.com, check out AIT with altered mechanics, and I'll see you on the trails.